Voltron Season 4, Episode 5, Begin the Blitz. Of course, this is the penultimate episode of this season, and coming off of the last one, which, although, like I mentioned in my last review, was really silly and kind of seemed like filler, they built up the coalition that they'd always been looking for, and with everything that played out in the episode before the last one, with Lotor now being an enemy of the state, and, his father going after him, they knew that it was time to attack. Things just... They basically reached the highest point that they possibly could, going right into the finale for this episode. And it was really well done. We actually get to see a lot of characters come back. We get to see the thieves that were in, I believe it was the last season. We get to see all the different races that have shown up throughout the series. And I thought that was cool. Everyone's kind of going to war either on their own planet or going off to other spots where the Galra are. And I thought that was very cool. I was like, I like how this is happening. And of course we get to see that grand army that really they've been searching for since the beginning of the series. That's what they've been doing, is having little missions here and there, like, hey, Voltron is here. Voltron is this ultimate weapon that can defeat this great evil within the galaxy. And they've, slowly recruited people piece by piece by helping them out. And then, of course, with, the big show in the last episode, doing these grand events, trying to recruit people into their coalition, showing how it's such a great thing to be a part of the Voltron coalition and fight against Lotor and now Zarkon again. So it was really exciting going into this. It's like, alright, things have truly built up. Lotor is an enemy of the state. He's, taken off with his crew. Team Voltron is all working together, bringing in the coalition to make sure that they can get to these final points. Keith is actually back because he was missing for a couple episodes, so we get to see him with the Blade of Marmura, and he takes on a big mission in this episode where they go to one of the grand locations during this final battle, and they go in, they beat up the people, and they actually end up getting this laser beam, which allows for them to support the team that's actually in space already, taking on this grand, one of the grand ships. And a lot of people get taken out, of course, the main characters, particularly Matt, because everyone else I'm pretty sure was brand new, unless I just, didn't remember them. But they're basically just trapped in this position while this whole fight is going on, because this one ship has this giant laser cannon, and that was kind of like the big crux of the episode, I think, was that, actual space battle where a lot of people died, kind of right off the top. And they're kind of just trapped because this ship has such an amazing weapon kind of just focused on them. Their shields are barely holding, and fortunately, once they're able to, once Keith and his crew are able to take over, this laser cannon, they shoot it. And I love the fact that they were so insanely far away, they had to, search through the galaxy to actually find the ship they were looking for before he could pull the trigger and shoot that laser beam, light years, I'm sure, away. And I thought that was kind of cool. I was like, okay, it's, even with it being the speed of light, it's taking a long time. It takes a second for it to get there, and we see it travel, and then eventually it hits the ship and completely wipes it out. But everyone had a big mission in this episode, and I thought that was very cool. We get to see Hunk and Pidge do their thing, where they team up, and Hunk basically does the wrestling move where he just drops on the dude at the end, because Pidge, is small, so she can't take out the guy on her own because he's super strong. So they team up, and Hunk comes in for the final blow. They take everyone out. Of course, Pidge is able to hack through, so that allows for them to basically block all communications for, that's super early on in the episode, so that blocks communications for the Galra Empire pretty much for the rest of the episode until they get to, the very end of it. But it was really well done. I like the fact that, like I said, we got to see a ton of people come back. People that were kind of douchey, they come back as, heroes now helping out the coalition, mostly the thieves. But it was pretty cool. We get to see all these different characters, all these old races that have been there either being saved or have helped them, have helped Team Voltron. And now everyone is working together all across the galaxy to take on the Galra Empire. And that was really cool. And then you also have the small sector of the story, which focuses on Lotor and his crew, and how they don't really know what to do with him anymore, because it's like, we've been with him for such a long time, and in that, blink of an eye of them being tracked, by Haggar using her magic, he killed one of his generals who, we don't exactly know how long they've been with him, but I'm just going to assume it's at least been a year. We'll just go with 1 year, just to go with that. And it was an interesting moment, because of course we knew it was going to happen. He killed one of his closest members in the blink of an eye, and it was just like, nope, you got us busted, and there's no time to think, just time to act. And so that's how he decided to act. And so his crew turns on him. By the end of the episode, they lock him up, and unfortunately, that doesn't go like they planned, because I was super curious. I was like, how in the world is this going to play out when they take him to his father? Is he going to get killed off? Is he going to be imprisoned to, break out later? And it turns out he's able to he does the thing where he goes from behind his back to his front, snapping his shoulder blades and everything. It's like, got it. Snaps the handcuffs, hits the button, ejects the woman out of the ship, and then he takes off. So he's gone, and I'm sure we'll see him. I assume we'll see him in the season finale, because he had this whole thing where it was like, hey, let's go back to the home planet, which I thought was actually very cool that they revealed that that's where he's getting all this quintessence from. The rift that was there on that planet never actually went away. People assumed it did because the entire planet pretty much just like exploded. So everyone just thought, okay, it was solved. That problem was solved, was this rift within space and time itself. Boom, that's all said and done. And it turns out that that's not the case. This was the source of what was going on there. Like, they're on that planet, and they're basically just waiting. And it seemed like they had a good plan. It seemed like everything was going to be fine. It was like, this is an unlimited, resource, with this dimension here. And when things kind of came down to the end, it was like, okay, well, we're just like a little four-man squad, and the entire empire is now being fought by the entire galaxy. We're just stuck in the middle as nothing. Even with this rare quintessence, there's really nothing for us to do. Like, all of this is for naught at this point. So everyone, that's kind of what led them to be like, we're screwed. There is nothing happening here. Even though you have the good guys going up against the Empire, they're still going to be outcasts. No matter what, they were with Lotor, so they're enemies of everyone. There's no enemy of enemy is my friend thing. Everyone's just an enemy, period, and that's just how it is. And they are the smallest group of enemies within this entire galaxy. So they decide to turn on him, and then when he escapes, it's like, well, that was our bargaining chip to be with the Galra Empire. So everyone's going to hate us, and the Galra Empire hates us because we were with Lotor. So we're dead. Like, that's how they feel. It's like, we are just done for. So I'm curious how that's going to play out with those characters in the finale. I'm sure they'll show up. I'm sure Lotor will be in there somewhere. He might not be with the other characters, but I assume he probably has some other sort of secret plan. I don't know. It's really hard to say. Maybe he has some more quintessence, more of the comment on the ship that he's actually on. But it's just hard to say exactly where things are headed for that small group of characters. That's kind of like the big mystery for me. It's like, how are they going to make it through being the enemies of everyone? They don't have any firepower. They have really nothing. What's going on? What are they going to do? So I am excited to see where that goes. But as far as this grand battle, we have them going into, I'm sure, another fight with Zarkon. I feel like that's inevitable. He's going to come back and he's going to do his thing. It's hard to say how that's really going to play out, mostly due to the fact that we still don't know much about how hard he's remembering his past and how much that's affecting him or not affecting him. The same thing with Haggar. Really, she remembers and she has these moments of self-reflection when she's alone, but of course she doesn't want to show that to everyone else. And it's like, will that make a difference to her? Like, there's just so many questions as to what is going to matter with this character. Like, what is, both these characters really, what's going to matter to them in these final moments. And for Zarkon, it seems like he's just back to being old Zarkon. But if Haggar is having these moments, I would have to assume he is as well. Like, it's just hard to say, because she was awake and conscious, and he was being woken up by these past memories. So it's just like, it's really hard to say how they're both being affected by it and what choices they'll change compared to what they've done, the rest of the series. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. The coalition going in and solving this ultimate problem. Like, technically, no one really knows about the planet. So that's another big thing, is that, the whole planet, Zarkon's home planet being destroyed, but that's still being the source of the quintessence. No one knows that that's still a thing. So you have 4 characters now, a couple more, I'm sure, because technically Lotor was like, I had it built, so other people know about it. But you have like a couple of main characters that even know that the planet is still a source for this rare quintessence. And then you have these 2 characters in Haggar and Zarkon, whose memories were completely wiped, but they were there during the degradation and destruction of this planet. And it's like, will that have an effect on them? If they find out in the next episode, if like the girls use that as their bargaining chip, like, hey, we don't have Lotor, but we found out where his quintessence is coming from, and we're willing to trade that for our safety. If they find that, will that affect their mental state? Like Zarkon and Haggar, will they just like see the planet destroyed and be like, holy crap, with what just happened in the end of the last season, with them regaining their memories, and then going back to that planet after having those memories restored, what's that going to do to them? Like, it's a huge question, because it's kind of up in the air at this point where, like I said, Lotor escaped, and it's like, well, that was our one bargaining chip, but they have a secondary bargaining chip without a doubt. They can just say, hey, we don't have him, but this is the one thing that he had, so it's kind of in the same vein to help them out as far as, protecting themselves. So I'm very curious where that's going to go. Who knows, maybe they won't even go to the Galra Empire. Maybe they will end up with Team Voltron. It's hard to say. You never know. They were with him, and then he did something crappy, which was a result of Zarkon and everything, so maybe they'll kind of connect it and just be like, the whole Galra Empire sucks. So who knows where these characters are going to end up, but there are a lot of different ways this could play out, because the heroes are just doing the hero thing. Everybody's fighting on the planets against the Galra. Team Voltron's fighting the Galra. They're going to fight Zarkon. I would assume, again, they're going to fight him. And it's like, well, that's pretty simple. That's all there is to it. Just point A to point B, they're fighting. All the other stuff is where, like, the mysteries are in there, because it's like, these characters have their memories back. This dude just escaped his team that now betrayed him, so he's completely alone. They're freaking out that they're going to die, but they know about his big secret for the quintessence. And it's just like, there's a lot that can happen on the enemy side of this show, while the heroes are just like, let's beat the bad guys. The enemies have a lot of different elements that can kind of change where things go for this last episode. So definitely looking forward to it. Of course, we'd love to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, your least favorite parts about it. And of course, I want to know your theories for this season's finale. And of course, just what you guys want to see for the finale. It's crazy that we're already at the end. It really sucks that we're already at the end. We have to wait yet another season. I was hoping this season would give us something for Keith. I was hoping we'd get that official answer as to, what's happening with him. Sadly, that did not come up. So maybe next season we'll end up getting that. Maybe we will get his interaction. And like I said, I suck with names, so I wish I could remember the generals' names that work for Lotor. But the woman that he saved, they haven't had that official interaction. Like, he knew that that was her when they fought, but he never talked to her about it. Like, oh, this is, like, hey, it's me. And she never said anything to him either. It was just like, oh, this is us. Like, she clearly knew because his face was being shown during that episode. So she knew who it was before he even realized with the armor and everything. So she never said anything to him. He never said anything to her. So we still have that interaction. And that's what I think is going to lead those characters to becoming, like, anti-heroes and working with Team Voltron. Personally speaking, that's just what I thought. I was like, they're going to have that little connection, and ultimately that's going to lead those characters to ultimately become heroes, later down the line, or at least her specifically. Don't know about the other two ladies, but definitely her. I would assume her friend, who was the first one to betray Lotor, was like, hey, we should just get rid of him. I think at least the two of them. I don't know about the bigger woman, but I think the two of them for sure will end up with Team Voltron. It's hard to say. The one woman reminds me of May from Avatar, so I'm like, she could just be on any team, and I don't think it would matter to her as long as she's alive. That's the character. I think that was on purpose, because with these people, the creators of this show being like former showrunners of Avatar and directors and stuff like that, I'm like, I feel like they kind of took inspiration from May because how silly she was. That's what I get when I see that alien character that they have. But excited. I'm very excited for this last episode. I wanted to save it because I'd watched like the last 3 in a row, and I was like, I don't want to watch the finale. I want to have my theories still and build it up for myself. So definitely excited to go into this last episode of the season. But like I said, we'd love to know your theories for the next episode, just what you guys want to see for the finale in general. And of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.